Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's council meeting of Tuesday, May the 14th. First item of business, we'd like to sing "O Canada" here. Do we have Samantha? You're Samantha? Okay, great. I'm going to do a little introduction. So Samantha Antonio, she's 23 years old, and she's soon going to graduate from Brock University this June. Feels good to almost have it over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet. She's been singing since the age of 5. She started taking singing lessons at the Niagara Institute of Music and Arts, NIOMA, with Rick Rose's studio, and is now a teacher at their Queen Street headquarters. Music and dramatic arts have always been a huge part of Samantha's life, so tonight we welcome you to sing "O Canada." So whenever you're ready,
thank you.
Councillor Strange will sing along with you.
Okay. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, our true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Wow, that was great. Samantha, that was fantastic, and the cutest part when she was all done, she does the tilt to her shoulder. That was really cute. On behalf of the city, that was great. I felt it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No,
thank you.
so much.
Thank you. Okay, we are looking for an adoption of the minutes from the April 30th meeting. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. Thank you for that. Disclosures of a pecuniary interest. Councillor Kerrio.
On the parking lot report, Your Worship, it's a deviation from our regular parking, and I have a couple parking spots that I'd like to sell.
Okay, noted by the clerk. Any other disclosures? Oh, Councillor Strange.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, under communications for Proclamation Request, BoxRun Charitable Foundation, I'm a co-founder.
Okay. And you've done a great job with that too. Okay, if there's no other disclosures of a pecuniary interest, we'll move on to the mayor's reports and announcements. There's not a lot. First announcement, the lifeguard recruitment is taking place. The city's 5 pools are set to open for the summer on June the 28th. We're looking for an additional 10 lifeguards to join our crew. We're looking for the best. We have increased the wages and the uniforms are provided. It's a great job. You get to work outside, fresh air, sunshine, and it's a good job for someone who's social. I know that Councillor Thompson at one time was a lifeguard at the downtown, the municipal pool. That's right. He used to. You know what? I do have a picture. I didn't bring it with me, but I will bring it to the next meeting. It is the cutest picture. For those of you following along, tune in to our next meeting. I believe it's Tuesday, June the 4th, and I will bring the picture with me. And I'm serious. This should raise our ratings. We should get up to at least, I'd say 20 people hopefully at home watching us. And this is a very special picture of Councillor Thompson in a very small bathing suit. I'll leave it at that. Let your minds wander. It's a great opportunity as a lifeguard. It can lead to becoming the mayor. It could lead to all sorts of great things. Great opportunities for students to spend their summer earning money, outdoors, fresh air. The link, just go to niagarafalls.ca/jobs if you're interested. Upcoming events, we've got the Swing Hard for Hospice Niagara. It's an annual golf fundraiser supporting Hospice Niagara. There's still some spots open. It's $200 per golfer, and they're open until May the 24th. The event, it's always a sellout. It takes place June the 24th at noon at Legends on the Niagara. If you want to register, go to hospiceniagara.ca and /swing hard. And again, that date is June 24th. What day is June 24th? Does someone have a calendar? Can someone check?
The one after the 23rd.
The one after the 23rd. That's very good. That's helpful. Someone's got to have a calendar. What? Monday? Yep. Monday the 24th? Okay. So that's Monday, June the 24th. If you want to support Hospice Niagara, play some golf, and head out to beautiful Niagara Park's Legends Golf Course. Sponsorships are also available too, by the way. A reminder, the Soup Kitchen, the Niagara Falls Outreach, the Volunteer Appreciation Event will take place at the Gale Center Wednesday, May the 22nd, and that's 9:30 until 11, and that's in the AM. 9:30 till 11 on Wednesday, May 22nd for the Soup Kitchen Niagara Falls Community Outreach Volunteer Appreciation Event. I'd like to thank the following council representatives for representing the city. Councillor Dabrowski, representing the city at the Connect Conference opening ceremonies and the grand opening of Anick Automotive Inc. To Councillor Thompson, representing the city at the retirement presentation for Jackie Phillips after 35 years as an employee with Travel Ontario. To Councillor Peter Angelo, representing the city for the annual Cover the Kids Run. And to Councillor Lococo, representing the city at the opening of art exhibit, opening the doors to the Dialogue with Sam Thomas, and as well the grand opening of Catch the Moment, Life Casting School of Art. Next meeting will be Tuesday, June the 4th, and as I mentioned as a little teaser, be sure to tune in and see that picture of lifeguard, Councillor and former Mayor Wayne Thompson. We move on to item 6 on our appointment presentation, 6.1, YMCA update. I understand we have Kathy Ann White of the YMCA, along with some more people. I'll let you do all the introductions, and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Diodati. Thank you. Members of council, city staff, and members of the public. My name's Kathy Ann White, and I'm the Vice President of Health, Fitness, and Aquatics for the Niagara YMCA. And I'm joined tonight by my colleagues, Mario Medea, who's our Vice President of Finance, and Kyle Barber, who's our Chief Executive Officer.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to be here tonight to provide an update and overview on our revitalization project to relaunch the McBain Community Centre and to improve the relevance and sustainability of this important asset. This initiative was undertaken about 11 months ago in collaboration with the City of Niagara Falls, and we are very grateful for the support and the positive partnership that we share. We'd like to provide you with some highlights of the work we've completed to date, along with some of the early results and impacts that we've realized in this first year of a 2-year plan. This is rebuilding our relevant sustainability is really a 3-phased approach, and we've completed the first 2 phases. The first phase being focused on improving the quality and innovation of our programs and engaging staff and providing training and development opportunities for staff and volunteers. In the second phase of our project, we tried to focus on the things that members value to improve membership retention, create a framework to support future membership growth, explore new avenues for revenue for future, improve the local visibility of the YMCA community, and begin to engage differently in collaboration with other agencies throughout the community and with constituents at large. In phase 3, we hope to realize more growth and future solutions for families specifically. We are nearing the end of a major capital reinvestment that the City of Niagara Falls has stewarded the upgrade of the building automation system. This has been an extensive investment in the McBain Community Centre and will realize significant cost improvements related to occupancy and sustainable energy. We refreshed our wellness centre and equipment. We worked on improving our aquatic standards, raising the bar to national aquatic standards, focusing on child protection and the quality of swim instruction, and improving the use of the asset during peak times to accommodate and encourage more participation. We invested in new functional equipment and new programs like personal training, expanded our group exercise, invested in new skill-based programs for children and youth, which people tell us they value sincerely, and we leveraged some regional expertise through collaboration with other YMCAs locally, and launched a marketing strategy to drive new inquiries. This is a photo of some staff, volunteers, and members enjoying the functional training room. This is a photo of a program we've launched in combination with Hamilton Health Sciences and Public Health. It's called the Jairus Dance Program, and it provides an exercise intervention for those with early onset cognitive and physical impairments. We launched a series of training and development activities for staff and volunteers, adapted wages, started auditing, testing skills, and launched an annual training program for all staff dedicated to health and fitness provision. In phase 2, we expanded training and development related to clean culture and conflict resolution, improved some of our back-of-house administrative systems, expanded our financial assistance program, and made it easier to apply, imparted some consistent standards for application, and started to reconnect with those who were not attending regularly or we may have lost track of over the years. We also started a membership growth initiative. You may have seen some of these advertisements or promotions around town. Finding your inner warrior, encouraging people to try the Y, and also trying to get out into the community, offering yoga in the park and animating trails, parks. Some additional examples of some of our recent promotions. With our financial assistance program, our goal is to reflect more people who benefit from financial assistance. It's part of our charitable mission to ensure no one's denied access because of an inability to pay. And so we restructured this process so that it would be based strictly on household income, consistently applied to groups and individuals. You may have seen us at the Santa Claus Parade and some of the other local events. It's been our pleasure to be able to re-engage with the community, to enjoy all the things that Niagara Falls has to offer, and to meet members where they live and work. And one of the things that we were most delighted by was the response to track access, that members of the community could come and walk the track in the winter time. This was very well received. And based on that positive reception, we'd like to expand that track access for 12 months of the year. We continue to engage in philanthropy through charitable fundraising events like the Move for Kids event. And in summary, continue to provide opportunities for personal growth and volunteerism. We celebrated 750 volunteers, or 750 volunteer hours from 42 volunteers. On average, are serving 4,300 annual members. Close to 1,000 children, individuals, and families receive financial assistance. We are still looking forward to a summer camp where we'll provide close to 7,700 camper days. And we continue to hold youth action dances. I'm going to let Mario talk a little bit about some of the early results that we've seen over the last 11 months.
Thank you, Kathleen, and good evening, Mayor Diodati, councillors, and city staff. I have just 2 slides on financials, and I'll walk you through them quickly. This slide summarizes the investments we've made in the last year, and I'll just talk to a few of them. The largest one is the fitness equipment. The staff at the McBain Center actually spent 2 days cleaning, the equipment we could use, and we supplemented that with the most modern fitness equipment. As Kathleen has mentioned, we provided free access to Niagara Falls residents during the winter months. We estimate that as an $86,000 investment. And there was a repair related to the roof, the inner roof, of $88,000. So in total, it's over $500,000 that the Y has happily invested at the McBain Center. This slide is just a kind of a snapshot of our revenue and some of the internal metrics that we use. This is comparing April year-to-date versus April year-to-date last year. Our fiscal year ends in August, so this is 8 out of 12 months. And we're happy to report on, all lines, direct membership, incidental, and other revenue. We're seeing growth. Total revenue growth is 4.5%. And you'll notice at the bottom, our members on roll is flat. So, despite having a flat membership, we are able to increase our revenue per member, which is the last one. That's partly due, I'd say 1% due to price increase, but the other 2.5% comes from an intentional shift from our members to a plus category. This in the past years, this has seen a decline. So the fact that we're stabilizing this sets us up for the next phase. And I'll turn it back to Kathy Ann at this point.
In phase 3, we hope to realize a fulsome solution for families in Niagara Falls. The broadest definition of families, and in fact our categories have been expanded to include beyond 2 adult partners living in a home, but to include multi-generational members of a home. We hope to introduce an indoor drop-in playground for all season physical literacy that would include some sensory and other elements. It is our goal to partner with other local agencies like Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, to ensure that this space not only provides a compelling reason for members to be a part of the Y, but also becomes something that other agencies in the community access through intentional programming. We see it as being something will be quite compelling as an asset for Niagara Falls generally. It will provide options for day passes and tourists, open houses and birthday parties, and will allow us to more fully realize the growth that we know is coming into the community with the addition of new developments and families with children moving into Niagara Falls. We're going to call this campaign Play for All, and we look forward to a continued positive relationship and partnership with the City of Niagara Falls. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions of council for our YMCA folks? We were just wondering if you had any openings for retired lifeguards.
We absolutely need lifeguards this summer and are hiring. And swimming.
If I may, I actually have 4 nieces with memberships, and I myself had a membership. And if I may just say, it was hard for me to train them. They wouldn't let me bring them upstairs.
Well, you know what, this isn't really a place for that kind of stuff. So if you could, maybe when they're out in the hallway, you can explain that to them. Right now, we're talking about the presentation. So if there's no, are there any questions of council? If there's none, I'd look for a motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Kerrio. All those in favor? That's great, thank you. We obviously we're partners. We look forward to great success. And we know you've had some challenges with all these gyms moving into the area offering discount memberships, but I think the Y, everyone knows it's an important part of the fabric of the community, and we want you to be successful, and you are successful, and I think your best days are on the horizon. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, next up, RC 2019-10. The Alistair Young Awards and Culture Endowment Fund. I'm calling up Dino Fazio, co-chair of the Culture Committee. You're accompanied by Laura Moffat, the other co-chair of the committee. And if you could come forward and do your presentation, we'd love to hear about it.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thanks for your time. In 1997, Mr. Alistair Young donated a 1932 Ford Roadster to the Arts and Culture Commission, now known as the Culture Committee. The commission raffled the car off, and the money raised was used to establish the Young Family Endowment Fund. Since renamed the Alistair Young Arts and Culture Endowment Fund, it is awarded annually to one Niagara Falls resident in any creative arts field. The Culture Committee has received several very worthy applicants this year for the award, and after careful review and consideration, Ashley Standish is recommended for the 2019 recipient. Yay. Ashley.
Now the uncomfortable part for Ashley while we talk about her. Ashley Standish was born and raised in Niagara Falls and resides currently here with her son Roddy. Ashley earned her Bachelor of Arts in Psychology at Brock University, but decided to pursue her lifelong passion for music shortly afterwards. Ashley is a multi-instrumentalist, with piano being her main focus. With the love of music ingrained in her soul, Ashley's music career has involved performing, teaching, composing, stage managing, and coordinating local music festivals in the Niagara region. Ashley's been volunteering and supporting the arts since she was a young teen, starting at the Fire Hall Theatre, handing out pamphlets, to current performing at various charity events around the region. As a musician, she released her first solo album titled Alchemy. In May of 2018, took home the Niagara Music Award for Best Instrumental of the Year with her song Deadly Nightshade. Currently, Ashley is busy teaching and performing around the region on her own and with her newly formed band, What's Her Name? Which will be releasing their first single on May 17th.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ashley.
Ashley was just gonna.
Yes, please do that. And then join us up here for some
Okay. Thank you, City Council.
Come on around, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor
Laura,
Diodati.
Dino, come on up here. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ashley, come to the mic.
It's okay. It's for like very short people. I'm just very honored, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. And I'm very grateful that this award exists. And I've always been volunteering, and I love encouraging my friends and students to volunteer as well. So I think this is wonderful, and I hope it keeps the ball rolling. And that's all. Thank you very much.
So we're gonna do a little photo op. Oh, yes. Ashley, congratulations. There's a little something for you. Those are my speaking notes. Good. So we'll smog it in here. All right, who first? Go ahead. One more. Let's do one more. Great. One over here. All right. One right here. Oh. You can stand up if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on behalf of the city, ladies and gentlemen, we're very, very proud of Ashley. We're sure that she's going to be getting a lot more recognition and accolades here at the city. And you know, it's the greatest thing they say, grow where you're planted. When you have an opportunity here and she's giving back, and I'm sure she's going to inspire a lot of other people to pursue the arts and pursue their passion. So on behalf of the city, congratulations. We're very, very proud.
There is a staff report that is along with this.
Okay, yes. Thank you for that, Councillor Pietrangelo. So, moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange, that we approve the recommendation. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, that's approved. Thank you. Okay, moving along to item 6.3, the Recreation Committee. We have Bonnie Brady here, the Vice Chair of the Recreation Committee, who's going to give us an update. Welcome.
Thank you. As you have mentioned, my name is Bonnie Brady, and I am currently the Vice Chair of our Recreation Committee. I'm happy to be here to present the Recreation Committee represent the Recreation Committee and provide updates on our upcoming events and activities. Haven't done this for a while, so look at that, as if I knew what I was doing. This June, we will be celebrating. June is Recreation and Park Month. This is a movement that promotes the benefits of recreation and parks for physical, social, and environmental health. Communities across Ontario have embraced June is Recreation and Park Month as a way to promote local programs and events, parks, and facilities that are available for all citizens to enjoy. Access to park and recreation is a fundamental human need that helps foster personal health, strong communities, and social inclusion. June is Recreation and Park Month, celebrates Ontario's spectacular parks and recreation services and raises awareness for the role they play as a pathway to individual, community, and environmental well-being. We will be celebrating this month with events and activities, as well as a social media campaign to highlight our many parks and trails. Look at those. Niagara Falls Bark Park. This month, we will be celebrating the grand opening of the city's second dog park, aptly named Niagara Falls Bark Park. The dog park was developed in partnership with the Niagara Falls Humane Society. The grand opening will be held on Saturday, June the 8th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and is located in front of the Niagara Falls Humane Society building on the Chippewa Parkway. The ribbon cutting ceremony begins at 11 a.m., followed by light refreshments and socialization in the park. The Humane Society is offering the opportunity to microchip your dog as well. The city will be offering free Learn to Play pickleball sessions during the month of June. The dates for the sessions are Saturday, June the 8th at Riverview Park from 1 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and Saturday, June the 15th at Prince Charles Park from 1 till 3 p.m. Each session will include complimentary use of pickleball rackets and balls, 1 hour instruction from a trained racket instructor, complimentary friendly match after instruction, and proper footwear is required for the sessions, and there is a maximum of 20 participants per session.
Can I ask you, before you go on, to pickleball?
What is pickleball?
Yes, because I just recently read about it. It's one of the fastest growing sports anywhere, and a lot of people, so maybe you could just share with people how you're very progressive with this.
Well, being a former phys ed teacher, I always thought that I was the person who created, I don't think I called it pickleball back then, but if you ever taught grade 9 girls and tried to teach them how to play either a racket sport with a tennis racket or a badminton racket, sometimes it's very challenging because of the hand-eye coordination and so on. So basically, pickleball is the use of a tennis court. You use somewhat like badminton rules, a little bit like table tennis rules, but you use a flat, a hard surface racket, more like a paddle from table tennis. And the ball is less bouncy than a tennis ball, so therefore easier to chase after. It doesn't move as quickly. So it's basically tennis on a tennis court in a smaller court. So they take the tennis court and make it just where the serving boxes are, like where you have to serve into, and you play the same type of game, but you usually play with a partner. So you can utilize more people for smaller spaces. And I actually, when I heard this pickleball, I had to look up the rules myself, and I said, I used to play that in my gym class with the girls because I used to use our old flat rackets that we used to use in our table tennis so that they could do the hand-eye coordination. It's becoming it's a great use of our parks because you can have more people on the courts to play because the ball doesn't move as quickly. So come on out and join us on June the 8th and learn. Make sure you bring your proper shoes, though. Okay with that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. On Saturday, June 15th, we will be hosting a free June is Recreation Parks and Month community event. It will be held at A.J. McKinley Park from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The event will feature free barbecue, face painting, children's bouncy castle, as well as a variety of sports, including t-ball, basketball, soccer, and many more. The ribbon cutting ceremony will be held at 1 p.m. to celebrate the new playground and the updated park amenities. Very excited about that one. And Of course, we have our garage sale at the Gale, Saturday, June the 4th. We will be hosting our annual garage sale from 8 to noon at the Gale Center. All funds raised support the city's activity subsidy fund to subsidize the cost of recreational activities. The community is invited to book a spot for $25 and sell their garage sale items. Along with the garage sale, there will also be a barbecue, which is provided by our Terry Fox committee. Any other questions other than the pickleball question?
Council, do you have any questions regarding our recreation committee and their busy, busy month of June? Yes,
definitely.
Councillor Dabrowski.
Through you, the mayor. Garage sale at the Hill, by the way, I'm a member of the Parks and, or the Recreation Committee along with Councillor Strange, and I think when the garage sale at the Gale was first thought of, we were part of that committee. It's a great event. Are there any exhibitor tables left for this year's event?
Are there? Yep, yeah, there's still tables.
How can people apply, or just on the city website?
So on the city website, or to see Dolores Sacco at her office up at the Gale, or at the McBain Center.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but the money's raised from the garage sale at the Gale. Can you just explain to everyone where the money's raised go?
So we do have the activity subsidy fund, which is part of our role on the committee. Luckily, we have Dolores Sacco, who is our administrative assistant, I believe is her professional role. I don't know, she does all of our work for us. And she screens all of the applicants. So we're looking, we provide the assistance to families who want their children to play sport, but as we know, it's very, very expensive, and they apply directly to Dolores at the McBain Center, and then she brings her recommendations to us. And as Dolores has always maintained high standards, she always has it all figured out as to who is legit and who really is in need of the money, and then we end up okaying her request, and we give the funding so that the youth can play their soccer, their baseball, or the football, or whatever activity that they choose to. Yeah, it's a great program. It's
kudos to you, and I know you have some members from the committee, Sheila, Fleming, and Nico. So anyway, kudos to the committee. Great job, and keep up the great work.
Thanks.
That's it. Any other questions of council? Okay, now before you leave, Bonnie, we've got a proclamation request requesting that council proclaim the month of June as Recreation and Parks Month in the city of Niagara Falls. Moved by Councillor Dabrowski, seconded by Councillor Thompson. We'll call that vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous.
That's
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you for your support, and I'll take that back to our meeting next Tuesday.
That's
Thank
great.
you very much.
Thank you very much. I've got one alteration to the agenda. Project Share should have been on the agenda. There was an oversight. I know Diane Corkum is here. Thank you for Councillor. If you can come forward, thank you to Councillor Lococo for bringing this to my attention. And we've all got our red shirts, of course, today. Or a red tie. Some of us were really organized and had a red tie, like Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank the council for supporting our initiative Wear Red to get our community fed. In the summer, our donations decrease, and the need has increased. I used to tell people we're giving out a ton of food a day. It's now 3,600 pounds, which is close to 2 tons per day. We've increased the amount of produce that we give out by 229% over the past 5-6 years, and so that's probably why the weight, but the need grows, and thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I don't know if we had any comments for Diane or any, yeah, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Last term of council, I was council's rep. I really didn't know what Project Share did. Wanted to find out exactly, and you guys do a fantastic job. It was a great experience for me, and keep the good work up.
Thank you. And what it is, I realize that I haven't explained it. We're encouraging groups and businesses to have dress down days and luncheons and to wear red. It doesn't have to be a Project Share shirt, but just to remember the agency and the need in our community. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you very much, and thank you to our CAO and Councillor Thompson for wearing the red ties today as well. They really were organized, so thank you for that. And our Director of Finance. And,
thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah, and the pocket square for everybody that's got red today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Diane.
Do you need a motion?
Do we need a motion to do anything on this one, or is this is the presentation? I think we're good. What? Maybe, okay, sure. Let's make a motion to receive the presentation. Moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Lococo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you for that. Next up, 6.5, Carol Morningstar. Is Carol Morningstar? Yes, okay, there you are. Okay, she is of Life Donation Awareness Association, is going to give council a presentation on organ donation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Diodati and council members and guests, and especially Councillor Lori Lococo, who asked for someone to speak tonight. Usually our presentations are like 40 minutes, and we have 3 of us, so you can get the view, you can get the view of a donor, of a recipient, and of a supporter. But tonight you only get me as a supporter. I am with the Niagara Life Donation Awareness Association, which is a group that I started following my daughter's group, which is in the Midwest, which is Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph area. My daughter had a heart transplant 8 years ago, and her story is a long one. I'm not going to tell you all of it, but I'm just going to show you a few things to let you know it's a little bit Oh, I need to go. Okay, it's going to, sorry. Yeah, okay. Anyway, our daughter Andrea was very healthy until age 24 when a virus attacked her heart and left her heart 3 times enlarged and working at 20% efficiency. When she was diagnosed, which was at Niagara Falls Hospital, they told her she might be off a couple weeks, and she was upset. She had a new project at work. She was off for 3.5 years. It wasn't 2 weeks, it was 3.5 years. They don't know why she got the virus. That's why it's called idiopathic, but it left her heart so that she could hardly walk from here to the door. She was wheelchair bound for a while. She was wheelchair bound getting ready for her wedding, and her health just deteriorated the next few years. She had a defibrillator pacemaker put in October 2008, and as a bodyguard. And at her wedding, it went off when she was speaking, the first speech of the wedding, and it went off and zapped her 3 times. Ended the wedding at 7:30, and 10 of us went to the hospital instead. A month and a half later, we had the aftershock party, which my son named, and we finished the wedding. Everybody else got to do their speeches. She got to wear her gown twice, so positive, right? Later on, she was even more sick, and she had to have a heart transplant. However, no heart was available. Thank goodness. I appreciate all the scientists and the doctors. They have the LVAD, which is a mechanical heart. Oh dear, I'm losing it. Left ventricular assist device, LVAD, and it was inserted in her. It looks like the plumbing that you use under your sink. That was put in her, and then a cord went out her belly, and she had 2 batteries, and she was hooked up 24/7 for 14 months, waiting for the perfect heart. And that's the actual x-ray of her LVAD. She could not be near water. When she had a shower, she had to put everything in a bag. It took her like 20 minutes just to get ready for a shower, and but she grew stronger with the LVAD in. Toronto Hospital had Andrea up on their walls. She's now a spokesperson for the hospital. She speaks about organ donation and how it saved her life. She goes to many events at the Peter Munk Center. I even got to meet Peter Munk at a couple dinners. He gave $38 million to the hospital at one time, and then another $40 million later, so the Peter Munk Center was named after him. But they do a lot for people with transplants. 4 days before Christmas 2010, we got the call for a heart, and Andrea got the best Christmas gift anybody could ever ask for. We spent Christmas in the hospital, but it was wonderful. She got out New Year's Day. We appreciate the family who donated their loved one's heart at a very difficult time. Either that person had registered as a donor, or the family decided at the last minute to have them be a donor. We don't know which, but they did decide to donate and give the heart, and Andrea is doing very well now because of that. Sorry, okay. There's Andrea's 2 hearts. On the left, you can see the LVAD attached to her very sick heart. The doctor said she had minutes to live when they put the LVAD in. In fact, they had to paddle her about 2 hours before they did the surgery, and that was very scary. You know how on the movies when they call the code, they run in, and oh my goodness, did they run in. It was scary, but it was impressive to see how all the staff ran in and they got to her very quickly. We have nothing but praise for Toronto General Hospital for all the staff there. So on the right picture, you can see the sick one, and then on the left of that picture, there's the healthy heart that she is going to get. You'll notice quite a difference. These pictures are because Global TV was in through the whole surgery, and they did 2 15-minute segment shows on Andrea's transplant. She allowed them in the surgery. So therefore, they got these pictures, and they were texting me throughout the surgery and letting me know what was happening, which was awesome. Andrea has now been in many magazines and papers, as I say, promoting organ donation. And she's a speaker that speaks at lots and lots of events. She also won the 40 Under 40 awards for Kitchener, Waterloo area. And there's a lot of positive that has come out of her transplant. Some of her closest friends now are transplant recipients. So there's always positive working in here. This is the first transplant games that we went to. A lot of people don't realize there's Canadian transplant games and the World Games. This was in Calgary, and that's just the Ontario team. And it was so amazing, not just to see the athletes performing, but to see them talking about their drugs and talking about these issues that we couldn't talk to Andrea about because we had no idea. So it was fantastic to go to the games. We've also been to the Moncton, Toronto, and Vancouver games. In fact, Andrea and I ran the volunteers for the Toronto games. And we went to Spain 2 years ago for the World Games. And if you notice the left-hand side, that's actually a bull ring. And they had the opening just like the regular Olympics. 2,500 transplant recipients walked in that bull ring from 52 different countries. And the thing is, you have to be on drugs to be in these Olympics. So if you're not on drugs, you're kicked out. So, and there's the 109 that went to the Spain game. I was one of the team managers, and it was a lot of fun. This year they're going to England, Newcastle, and I think it's supposed to be Japan in a couple of years. They haven't finalized that yet. But it is fantastic to go to. We get lots of volunteers that go that have nothing to do with organ donation, but they love to volunteer at these events because they're always so positive. This is just some of the facts. I'll let you read it, but one of the important things you'll see is that in Niagara region, there are 51 people waiting for transplants on the list. There are more people that are waiting for transplants that haven't been listed yet, but there are 51 waiting right now. In fact, a friend of mine, her mother passed away 2 weeks ago. She was waiting for a liver transplant, but it didn't come in time for her. She was 68, but it didn't come in time. So there's always people waiting. This is the old card that some people still carry with their license and say, oh yeah, I'm registered as an organ donor. Well, if you carry that card, it's garbage. With the digital world, you have to be registered now. Carrying that card does not mean anything. The hospitals have the information of who is registered, only to be used when needed. But that's what you have to do to register for organ donation now. You have to do it online or through the ministry. So please, if you have that paper, get rid of it. These are some of the concerns of organ donations. Doctors don't work hard enough to save me. Not true. No one would want my organs. I'm too old. No, no one's too old. Even if you have cancer, they say register. They can now clean out a lung from a smoker's body and reuse those lungs in someone else. They can reuse things amazingly that they might be able to reuse people's organs after having cancer. So they say register if you believe in it. The doctors will decide when the time comes whether they use your organs. Also, you are more likely to need an organ than to actually donate one. Scary thought, but it's true. Asking a devastated family is cruel? No. I know many, many families now that have had organs donated, and they find it a big comfort. They know that their loved one helped someone else to live, or helped someone else have a better life, like cornea for eyes. Someone that couldn't see can now see because my loved one donated corneas. So there's no truth to that at all. You can still have an open casket, you can still be cremated, that doesn't matter. No one would know that you had donated unless they were told. The waiting list gives preference to the rich and famous, not at all. They do not consider that at all. So those are myths that aren't true.
Carol, just before we move on, Councillor, I know you did. Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. When registered, 90% of the families will honor their loved ones' wishes. But if you don't know the person's wishes, you don't know how to honor it if they're not registered. They say talk to your family, make sure your family knows that you want to donate organs. That makes it much easier on the family later. When they're not registered, only 50% consent. Currently, now I think it's 34% now. I had 32%, but it has gone up, and it takes a lot of people to make it go up 1%, but 34% of Ontarians have registered, and I think Niagara Falls is close to or a little bit above that rate now, but we want to raise it. I'm going to ask you to help with that in a minute. What can City Council do to support organ and tissue registration? First of all, register yourselves. I didn't put that on there, but please register yourselves. It takes 2 minutes on beadonor.ca. You need your health card number and then your birthday, your address, all the other stuff you would know. If you've memorized your health card, great. If not, you need that. Talk about it to anyone and everyone. I wear either the button or the ribbon quite often when I'm out. And it's unbelievable how many people have stopped me and say, oh, what's that ribbon for? Oh, what are you wearing the button for? And then we have a discussion, and I carry extra buttons in my jacket, and I say, here's a button. Go register, tell everybody else. I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to give out buttons and ribbons to other people. The more people hear about it, the more likely they are to register. They say it takes 3 times. The first time you hear about it, you think, yeah, that might be a good idea. The second time you hear it, you think, oh, yeah, I should do that. And then the third time you say, okay, I'm actually going to do it. 90% believe in it, but only 34% have actually registered. That's pretty low. So tell people. Ask LDAA for speakers or table setups. We host booths within the community to answer questions and dispel misconceptions. We deliver presentations at events. We share our stories. We've got quite a few recipients in the group now that share their stories, as well as a few donor families. Tell people at your work. We do parades. We give out lifesavers on cards. So we say, be a lifesaver, and we give out the lifesavers. But if you have any events that we can attend, please let me know. Oh, I already said that. We at LDA and the many awaiting life-saving transplants, thank you for your support. If you're interested, as I say, my daughter's transplant was televised. You can go just Google Global 6x9. It's 6 times 9 it looks like, but they call it 6x9. That's the show, and put Andrea Clegg, and you'll see the videos on her. She also has a blog that has been it's a long blog. Mostly my daughter and her sister-in-law did the blog. I did a few entries too, but it followed her story through her transplant and her issues, and that's staying true to my heart. Andrea is always known to be a very positive girl, and there's only one write-up in there that Andrea wrote where she was frustrated. Otherwise, she was very positive. She knew she would get through this, and she appreciated everything every doctor, every nurse, everybody did for her. In fact, one cleaning girl used to come back into the hospital with nail polish and stuff for Andrea. She liked her so much. So Andrea has always been very positive and a good patient. Have some tissues close by, I put, because some of it is very emotional, and it's quite the story of her wedding and everything too. How do I register? In person at Service Ontario or through beadonor.ca. Or I have forms out on the table here, and I also have lots of buttons and ribbons for anybody to get. Please take them and please let other people know. And that's it.
Carol, thank you very much. That was really, really informative, and I'm glad that you said that because I filled out the form and I didn't realize the form is no good. I've got to go on the website and actually, and I've told my kids too, if anything ever happens, I want you to know.
Good.
So that's why I want, they said, who'd want any of your parts, Dad?
Yeah.
I said, maybe some desperate person, maybe. But I do have some questions for you. I've got Councillor Iannone.
Thank you. I just want to say, you turned a story that could have been heartbreaking into something very inspirational and informative. I too have signed the back of my card and told my kids, but I didn't know that I had to go on a website and register. So you hope your kids actually follow through, but I will go on the website. And I just want to say that Councillor Campbell stood up here at the last meeting and he read a poem and he talked about a very good friend to everybody in this community, Deb Nansen, who was up in Toronto at that evening waiting for a liver transplant. The liver didn't come through and she passed away in the interim, and I'll talk about her later, but she had a match, got there, it wasn't compatible, and she was put back on the list and passed away waiting for a liver. So it hit home to a lot of us who cared very much about her, and I just want to encourage everybody, just listen to this message, because when it's somebody you knew so well, and it was simply the lack of an organ, it really hits home. So thank you very much.
I forgot, one saying that I like is, don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here.
That's a good one.
And that's
Does your daughter still have the that left ventricle assist device?
No. When they took it out, when she had it in, they told her to do a lot of sports that would build up her torso and everything. She did pole dancing. I never thought my daughter would do pole dancing, but it's very good for your torso, and she loved it. She said it was a great time. And my husband made her a deal when she was very ill and possibly getting the LVAD. They showed us a video of the LVAD, and one lady was riding a bike. So Dave said to Andrea, if you get better enough, I will buy you a new bike. So he bought her Rocky Road. She calls it Rocky. And she took it to a couple of the Canadian Games. In fact, it was in one of the pictures I showed you there. And she did ride bike a lot. And she went to yoga. And she really worked hard to get herself healthy before her transplant. So the doctor said when they did the transplant, her heart was so healthy, well, not her heart, but the rest of her was so healthy that they also took out the defibrillator pacemaker, which they were going to leave in. So she now doesn't have any of that stuff. She just has her new heart.
Oh, good for her.
So that was exciting. That was really exciting for us to find out.
I've got Councillor Strange, who incidentally also takes pole dancing.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for the presentation. And
thank you.
Yeah, I too didn't realize that the filling out of the driver's license didn't really matter. So maybe we can actually get that link to our newsletter, maybe out for our city newsletter, and help kind of spread
that'd be
the word.
great.
And,
thank you.
Just an unbelievable story when you were talking about the wedding and it going off, and just crazy. Now, will she ever know who the recipient?
No, we were told.
Those YouTube videos where they go, "Oh, that was my."
Yeah. In Canada, you're not allowed to find out. Many other countries you can, but Canada not so far. And Andrea is good with that. She says, I've got enough things to worry about. I don't need to make the decision of whether I meet my donor or not, or donor's family, sorry, donor's family. But some have met by mistake. They know the date and stuff like that. But we were told, like Andrea, she was usually about 110 pounds, and she went down to under 90 pounds. So she needed the heart of a child pretty well. So we were told it was a teenager that was in Toronto area. That's all we were told. We don't know male or female. We don't know anything else.
Well, I'm definitely going to have a look
we
at
didn't
the
find out.
At
the video,
the coverage there, and congratulations to you for all the volunteer work you do with all the athletes.
Thank you.
I didn't realize that they had whole games of us, so that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Councillor Strange, did you want to make a motion that we put the link on our website and to our newsletter advertising? So we've got that motion by Councillor Strange and seconded by Councillor Lococo, and we'd encourage everybody to not just fill out the card, but now to go on the website beadonor.ca and make the right choice. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous. And Carol, thanks very much for sharing such a great story.
One other thing, if you're not sure if you're registered, you can go on beadonor.ca and just look it up. And it also, did I just take the top of it? Okay. It also will ask what you wish to donate, and you can say, I'll donate everything but my cornea, or I'll donate everything but my heart. Like, you can choose there, or you can just say, take it all, which to me, I'm not going to use it, take it all. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Bill. Carol and I worked on the Ainmire reunion, the 50th, a long time ago. Item 6.6, Niagara Regional Official Plan Update. Now I'd like to call on Dave Hayworth, Official Plan Policy Consultant, who's going to bring us up to speed. Welcome back, Dave.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, senior staff, and members of the public. It's nice to be back in City Hall to speak to our municipal partners about the official plan project. What we want to do is come to you on a regular basis and at key stages and provide you an update as to how things are progressing. What we're doing is creating a new official plan. Back in the day when the regional policy plan was created in the early 70s, the main mandate of the region was preserving agricultural lands and urban boundaries. Over time, the mandate of the region from a planning perspective has grown. Much of it's from provincial downloading, but also because planning has become much more comprehensive and complex at the same time. So while amendments have been made to the existing regional official plan over time, those amendments have been made on the older standard platform, and that platform is somewhat out of date. So we want to create a new official plan which is much more contemporary and comprehensive, and we want a plan that implements new provincial policy and plans, reflects the goals and priorities of the community, and provides clear direction for our local planning partners and flexibility where appropriate. This slide basically shows the timelines of how we got to this stage in terms of resource allocation, framing, priority background studies with area planners, and we just had a consultation timeline framework approved by Council in March of 2019. This slide shows the priority background studies that we have underway now for under growth management, and you can see those, and I'll be speaking to them, as well as for under rural and natural systems. These are priority ones we're working on now. There's other studies that will also inform the official plan. You'll probably remember Niagara 2041, How We Go, which created the Regional Transportation Master Plan, How We Flow, which was the Water and Wastewater Master Plan. Those documents will also inform the official plan. We're also working on the creation of a cultural heritage background study, and part of that exercise is to develop a regional archaeological management plan to assist in the preservation of our archaeological resources and know how and when to address them over time. There's 3 municipalities that have an archaeological management plan: Fort Erie, Niagara-on-the-Lake, and Pelham. I know Niagara Falls has a kind of a mapping screening tool, I believe, that was developed through the culture plan, but this will be a little bit more involved in that, and I think it'll be a valuable resource to the municipalities through the development process as well. This slide basically shows the process from a high level in terms of creating the new official plan. We're at the background studies stage. There'll be consultation involved in that. When we have the background studies done to inform the official plan, we're going to do this official plan in sections, and there'll be consultation on those sections. Early in 2021, our goal and hope to have a consolidated draft that pulls it all together, and that will leave about a year of back and forth review and revisions with our local partners, etc., to finalize the plan for the end of 2021. And that would go for council adoption, regional council adoption, and then it would go on to the province for approval. So I'll just talk a little bit about the growth management priority background studies will be a land needs assessment, where we have to determine the amount of land needed for residential employment growth to 2041. We also want to establish a process to address urban boundary expansion requests, and I know, of course, there's interest from Niagara Falls in that, as well as some other municipalities. And there has been a new growth plan that has just come out. It takes effect May 16th. Prior to that, under the old growth plan, I just want to note that the aspect of urban boundary expansions had to be dealt with through the official plan process, creating the official plan, doing the land needs assessment, going through that whole process. The recent growth plan that has just come out has created a new policy platform. You can, obviously, expansions can still be dealt with that way, but there's, I guess, a window of opportunity perhaps for certain expansions to be considered ahead of the comprehensive review of the official plan. There's adjustments where there's no net gain in land that possibly could be allowed, as well as expansions up to 40 hectares subject to different criteria. So we know that we're probably going to get interest in saying, is there something that can be done ahead of the official plan project, which is what I work on, and we're in the works of developing a framework and strategy to deal with those requests, because this is all new. So I just want to make mention of that. Urban structure is another key component of the growth management, and what we want to do is identify strategic areas to direct growth and intensification, and the implementation method would be local secondary plans. And we've been developing a draft urban structure and discussing with area planners, and we'll continue to do that before we bring that out in a report and something to comment on in terms of policy. This basically shows at a high level the type of preliminary urban structure components we're talking about. An urban growth center, which is downtown St. Catharines, and that's provincially identified. Regional centers, downtown Welland and downtown Niagara Falls, we anticipate to be regional centers, and downtown Niagara Falls would overlap with the GO Transit Station area centers, where we've developed secondary plans around the 4 anticipated GO Transit stations. Strategic growth areas, examples of those would be the Brock District Plan area, where we anticipate different growths in multi-jurisdictional area, as well as the Glendale District Plan area around White Oaks and Niagara College. The other part of the component of urban structure would be your local centers that you identify, and your local corridors that you identify where you want to direct growth strategically on a local level. And the whole point of the urban structure is to identify areas where we want strategic growth and intensification to take advantage of public transit, community facilities, and infrastructure. And by doing that, that also helps us, and regionally in communities, it helps protect established neighborhoods. The employment land strategy, we want to identify and protect a sufficient amount of land that's marketable for employment uses. Under the growth plan, we have to identify in the regional plan employment areas that are protected from conversion. Under the new growth plan that has just come out, there is an opportunity for employment lands to be converted ahead of the official plan process, and that's another area where we're looking at getting a strategy in place to deal with those possible requests that we could be getting ahead. So where there's some elements like urban boundary expansions and employment land conversions that had to be addressed through the official plan at the back end of the process, so to speak, there's now opportunities for certain aspects to be dealt with at the front end. So we have to get a framework in place for that. The housing strategy, we want to plan for appropriate range and mix of housing forms to provide choice, affordable options, and aging in place. And we want to align with the region's housing and homelessness action plan. We've hired a consulting firm to gather data and share with municipal staff, which would help provide to develop a picture of housing needs, affordable housing needs, and core housing needs. and allow the locals to assess that and use that in the development of their own strategies, etc. And we've provided that data to area planners, and it will be coming out shortly to the local municipalities to take a look at. The next key section, rural and natural systems. Agriculture is one of our background studies, and we feel the regional policies now are quite contemporary, but we want to do a conformity exercise and clarify some policies with respect to servicing outside of urban areas and that type of thing. The natural environment is a key background study. My colleague Sean Norman will be speaking about that after my presentation, and I'll let him get into the details on that presentation. Aggregate resources. We started an exercise called Imagine Niagara a few years ago, and out of that we developed an aggregate background study, and we updated that through the provincial review system, and we're at the stage of developing policies for aggregate resources now. Climate change is another large section of the official plan. You can see by this slide all the different components that impact climate change that will be part of the official plan. And we'll be developing a discussion paper for climate change and targeting for the fall 2019. This slide basically shows the consultation overview. We've had a consultation framework approved in March of 2019. We built that on the Imagine Niagara. Imagine Niagara in 2013-14 went out, and there was over 4,000 surveys and 3,700 comments gathered as to what are the important themes to the communities. And it was they hosted events all across Niagara. And you can see those important themes, and we have more detailed information on those. And they were pretty much verified through Shape Niagara exercise that was also done. So we feel pretty confident in the higher level consultation. And now when we go to the public, and we have some public information sessions planned in the fall, and we have 2 planned for the natural environment at the end of May and beginning of June that Sean can talk to. We want to bring some background and then some options by the fall for the public to actually have something of substance to comment on. This is our proposed timeline, again, with the background studies developing the policies and the draft consolidation, and these are our next steps. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much. Do we have any questions of council for Dave regarding the regional? Councillor Pietrangelo. Official plan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just through you to Mr. Hayworth. Yes, welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again. I just had a couple questions. Typically, the province is the one who's in control, of urban boundary stretches. Is that still the case? I know that the region is going through a municipal comprehensive review. I don't know whether or not the MCR is going to be part of your final official plan update. But I'm wondering at that point, once the regional official plan is updated, who is in control then of the urban boundary, whether it's going to be the region or it's going to be the province?
Through the mayor to Councillor Pietrangelo, whether it's through the municipal comprehensive review, which would be a new official plan, and urban boundaries, let's say, are adjusted or expanded, that official plan would have to be approved by the province. If it was not through the municipal comprehensive review, as I mentioned a couple examples that we would have to look into whether they could happen ahead of the official plan. In that case, you still have to amend the boundaries. Expansion or adjustment, depending on what you call it, would be an amendment to the regional plan, and that amendment would have to be approved by the province as well. Okay. So when you ask about control, the control is with the approval authority ultimately, which would be the province.
Okay. So in other words, you'll approve the regional official plan and then you'll pass it on to the province for approval after
Yes,
that.
we adopt it, goes to the province for approval.
And I know you talked about a window that was going to start on May 16th in regards to 40 hectares of land. Would that be 40 hectares of land for the region, or would it be for each municipality?
Through the mayor to the councillor, that's a good question, and one we're seeking clarification on.
Okay, and perhaps you don't have the answer for this either, but do you know when the framework in regards to that window is going to be completed by?
Through the mayor to the councillor, the long-range planning division will be working on that, and that is somewhat separate from the official plan, so I can't give you an exact timeline, but I think you'll be seeing something put together fairly fast over the next couple of months, because we know that there's going to be some interest on various matters because of the new growth plan.
And so at that point then, are people going to be making a presentation to the region, or is it going to be by suggestion of municipalities?
Through the mayor to the council, I think that's up to the local municipalities on how they want to deal with that. I wouldn't want to judge how a municipality wants to put in their requests or wants to deal with that. I think that's discussions with their own planning departments. We're aware of all the expansion requests that were put in for the new official plan, but some municipalities, I don't know what process they want to take or how they want to, what avenues they want to take, and I wouldn't want to determine that.
Okay. Well, thanks for the information. Appreciate it.
Good questions, Councillor. What about now, Dave, one of my questions is regarding the impending amalgamation. Obviously, that's got to be a factor in everyone's mind, and I see it's ironic that you have everything concluded 2021 for council's adoption. Is that factoring in any way in the creation of this new regional official plan?
To the mayor, yeah, I don't really know how to address the question of amalgamation. If I knew the answers, I would either be the most popular person or the unpopular person in the room, depending on how you look at it. But certainly that's on our mind. This process is to create a regional official plan with our local planning partners that would then come into conformity. Depending on what happens, we would have to go back and take a look at that and take a look at restructuring it.
May involve some tweaking after the fact.
Yeah, tweaking depending on what the whole structure is going to be. There's examples of municipalities of single tier that address the levels that the region normally addresses, plus what you would normally see in a local official plan. And then there's examples of various combinations that have occurred throughout the province already.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Hayward? Okay, seeing none, we'll look for a motion to receive the report. And oh, is there another one? What was this?
Yeah.
Oh, right, you got another part here. Sean Norman.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Dave. Thanks, Councillor Pietrangelo. Awkward. Thank you. Those mics take a beating. Everyone talks with their hands and they keep knocking the tops off the mic.
I could still use this one. This one's still working. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. My name is Sean Norman, and I'm a Senior Planner in Community and Long-Range Planning at Niagara Region. I'm here this evening to provide you a brief overview of the Natural Environment Work Program that is being undertaken in support of the new Niagara Official Plan, as well as to provide a summary of some of the key findings of the background study that is being completed. Before I go into more detail on the scope of work, I would like to briefly present some of the reasons why natural environment planning is such an important component of the new Niagara Official Plan. Firstly, natural environment planning supports the identification of areas for growth and development. For example, at a regional level, it helps identify where growth areas should be. Secondly, there are a range of provincial requirements that must be implemented by the region. The third bullet point refers to the important ecosystem level role that natural systems play in our daily lives. As you know, agriculture, tourism, and other industries in Niagara rely on clean water and air for their success. Natural environment planning supports the vitality of these industries by ensuring that there is a healthy natural environment for generations to come. Fourthly, there is a link between the natural environment and human health, both physical and mental. Natural environment planning ensures that green spaces required for the well-being of Niagara residents will be available for the long term. Finally, planning for climate change will be a common theme throughout the new official plan and will be addressed in each one of our work programs. We'll be striving to better understand the connection between natural environment planning, climate change, and the new Niagara official plan. The definition of natural environment can mean something different to everyone. To ensure the scope of the work program would be well understood, we attempted to clearly define it as an early step in the project. In scope includes all of the environmental features and environmental systems as generally defined by the province. Some of the identified topics are very extensive. For example, natural heritage features includes woodlands, wetlands, habitat, valleylands, areas of natural and scientific interest, and more. What is being presented on this slide is an overview of the key phases of the work program. The process that is being undertaken is generally the same as it would be used for any other planning or scientific study. Information is collected, options are developed and analyzed, and an implementation plan is created for the preferred alternative. In addition, there are a number of major points of engagement that will be used to inform the technical aspects of the project. As highlighted, we are currently on phase 3 and are striving to inform and educate our stakeholders and partners on some of the key topics and issues related to natural environment planning in the region. At this stage, we have not developed options for evaluation and have yet to prepare draft policies. That work will be done in later phases of the project. The Natural Environment Background Study, in addition to discussion papers on mapping and watershed planning, will form the basis of the project moving forward. Their purpose is to ensure that the policy development will be informed by science and the best available information. The scope of the background study was prepared in consultation with planning staff at each municipality and covers both general topics as well as issues and trends that are specific to Niagara. Several of the key topics will be overviewed in the next few slides. Much of the direction for natural environment planning is provided by the province. Provincial direction starts with the provincial policy statement. The PPS identifies the types of natural features, areas, functions, and systems that must be identified and protected. In some areas, the province has identified more detailed natural heritage systems and policies. In Niagara, we are responsible for implementing the Provincial Greenbelt Natural Heritage System and Provincial Growth Plan Natural Heritage System. The Greenbelt NHS has been in place for a number of years and is generally reflected in existing regional policies. The Growth Plan NHS is new and is being implemented in the new Niagara official plan for the first time. Finally, the province provides a number of guidelines and other tools to support municipalities. These include, for example, the Natural Heritage Reference Manual and Greenbelt technical papers. As the two primary land uses in the rural areas of the region, it is critical to develop natural environment and agricultural systems which are compatible with one another. Provincial direction and existing regional policies are generally clear that natural heritage policies are not intended to restrict agricultural operations. For example, Policy 2.1.9 of the PPS provides specific direction that the natural heritage policies of the PPS are not intended to limit the ability of agricultural uses to continue. Further, there are many examples in both the Greenbelt and Growth Plan NHS policies related to agricultural buildings and structures. Finally, there's a common misconception that where a buffer is required between a new agricultural building and a natural feature, that it must be natural vegetation. In fact, both the Greenbelt Plan and Growth Plan include exemptions that state when the land will continue to be used for agricultural purposes, there is not a requirement for natural self-sustaining vegetation. Buffers in agricultural areas may continue to be planted with crops. Woodlands and other treed areas are often the most publicly valued components of a natural system. When considering woodlands to be protected through policy, it is significant woodlands which are considered to be key features. It is the responsibility of municipalities to identify and map significant woodlands, which is generally done through a two-step process. First, woodlands are identified and mapped based on defined criteria. Second, criteria are developed and applied to determine significance. Criteria can, for example, include proximity to other natural features and the size of the woodlot. Within provincial NHSs, provincial policy for the protection of significant woodlands are to be used. Outside of provincial NHSs, municipalities are responsible for developing policies, which must be in conformance with the PPS. A related tool for the management and protection of trees and woodlands are local and regional tree bylaws. The Municipal Act sets out clear parameters of what may be permitted in a regional bylaw and what may be permitted in a local tree bylaw. Outside the new Niagara official plan, the region has recently initiated an update to the Regional Tree and Forest Conservation Bylaw. Following completion of the new official plan, there would be a process to ensure proper alignment between these two tools. Climate change and invasive species are recognized as two of the most significant threats to our natural environment and can often work in conjunction to accelerate the deterioration of our natural areas. With respect to the relationship between natural environment and climate change, this generally means two things: planning to protect our natural areas from the impacts of climate change, and understanding that natural areas are an important tool for mitigation and resilience. For example, natural areas such as floodplains and wetlands can help mitigate the impacts of large storm events by storing stormwater, encouraging infiltration, and releasing it at more reasonable rates. There are many invasive species that are creating issues in Niagara, including Phragmites, garlic mustard, European buckthorn, and emerald ash borer. Directly controlling invasive species is difficult through the land use policies of official plans alone, and is typically better addressed through bylaws and other management tools. However, consideration needs to be given to how we classify woodlands and other areas that are in transition as a result of the impacts of invasive species. Watersheds are defined as an area that is drained by a river and its tributaries. The PPS requires that watersheds be the ecologically meaningful scale for integrated and long-term planning. Watershed planning provides a framework for the protection of water resources and the management of human and natural resources at a watershed scale. It is not a new concept. However, recent provincial changes have reinforced the need for watershed planning to inform land use planning. The region will now have a lead role in coordinating watershed planning. A high priority discussion paper is being completed to better inform the updated process, roles, and responsibilities related to watershed planning. In addition to presentations to all the local councils, we will also be consulting with the public and other stakeholders. Following this process, we will be reporting back to Regional Council with everything that we have heard. The next steps are to complete this first point of engagement and to finalize the background study and high priority discussion papers. Based on all the input we receive, we will begin to develop and evaluate various options for how natural systems and policies in the region could be developed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments for Sean? Okay, that was great. Thank you very much for all the details.
Thank you.
We're looking for a motion to receive both reports, moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thank you for that. Okay, as we move along now to the planning portion of our council meeting, I would now ask the city clerk to introduce the next item on tonight's agenda.
A public meeting is now being convened to consider a proposed amendment to the city's zoning bylaw to rezone the land to a site-specific residential 2 or R2 zone to permit the construction of a semi-detached dwelling. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on Friday, April 12th, 2019, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants notice of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment or would like to preserve their opportunity to appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets that are located outside the council chamber.
Thank you very much. Now I'll ask our Director of Planning, Mr. Hurlovich, to explain the purpose and the reason for the proposed bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Worship. This property is located, on the south side of Murray Street, immediately east of Franklin Avenue. The area in question is surrounded by residential dwellings. The proposal is to rezone the property as an R2 property to allow the construction of a semi-detached dwelling, and they are also looking for a 6-meter front yard depth. The bylaw requires a minimum of 6 meters. However, there's also a special provision that where the existing buildings on either side are closer or further back, it's the average distance. And in this case, the typical setback on this lot, because one building is quite far back on the street, would be a 7-meter setback, so they need a variance or a modification to that. So it's the R2 zone plus this front yard setback of 6 meters to construct the semi-detached dwelling. The property is currently zoned R1E, and they are looking for a residential 2 zone to permit that semi-detached dwelling plus the front yard depth. Staff reviewed the application. They found that the lands are designated residential in the official plan. This dwelling would cater to the variety of households that the official plan seeks. The plan supports the development of vacant land and the more efficient utilization of underutilized properties. The dwelling and the density is in the range of houses already permitted on local roads and within the character of the area. It will aid the city in meeting its 40% intensification target. The requested zoning will ensure that the dwelling is compatible with the established neighborhood and there is sufficient infrastructure to support the development. Therefore, staff is recommending that council approve the zoning bylaw amendment application to rezone the property to a site-specific R2 zone to permit the construction of a semi-detached dwelling.
Thank you, Mr. Hurlovich. Do we have any questions of council for Mr. Hurlovich? Okay, seeing none, members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the local planning appeal tribunal dismissing any referrals that it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheet will result in staff rejecting an appeal as per section 3419 of the Planning Act. Council now hear from anyone other than the applicant who wishes to speak to the proposed bylaw amendment. Is anyone here other than the applicant who wishes to address council? Okay, seeing none, council will now hear from the applicant or his or her representative. So if you'd like to come forward to the microphone.
I don't know how I speak English is not good.
That's okay. If you just, why don't we do this? If you can just come forward to the microphone. Yeah, I will. I'll first see if there's any questions. Are there any questions of council? What's your name? I'm sorry.
My name Tam, D-A-M.
Okay, yeah. Tam. And you are you the owner?
Yes.
Okay, okay, great. All right, well, if there's no questions for Tam, then we will close the public meeting with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo, that we approve the recommendation. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See how good things go when there's not a lot to be said? Oh, same one, okay. All right. Mr. Clerk, would you please introduce the next item on tonight's agenda?
A public meeting is now being convened to consider a proposed amendment to the city's zoning bylaw to permit a detached dwelling on a portion of the lands and recognize the existing duplex at 4683 Dorchester Road. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on Friday, April 12th, 2019, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants notice of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment or would like to preserve their opportunity to appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets that are located outside the council chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I now ask our Director of Planning, Mr. Hurlovich, to explain the purpose and the reason for the proposed bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Worship. This property is located on the west side of Dorchester Road, immediately north of Morrison Street. It abuts the commercial plaza where Boston Pizza is located. To the northeast of the property are detached single-family dwellings. To the north and to the east are semi-detached dwellings, and commercial properties to the south and to the southeast. The proposal is to rezone the property to an R2 zone in part. That would be the southerly part, that's called Part 2, and the northerly part would be rezoned to an R1E zone. The purpose of this is to allow the large property to be severed. That would allow for a new building to be constructed on Part 1, that's the area outlined in green, and to allow the existing semi-detached dwelling, or sorry, duplex dwelling to remain on Part 2. There's a large parking area at the back of the property, so there's a driveway that comes in from Dorchester Road. There's room to park the cars in the rear yard with a turnaround so the cars could enter onto Dorchester Road facing forward. The applicant is looking for some special provisions. So within that R2 zone for Part 2, they need a modification to recognize the rear yard parking area of 70 square meters. They need to recognize the total lot area for the duplex of 578 square meters, and then they need to recognize the reduced lot frontage of 16.5 meters. And then the existing building is set back 3 meters from the street line, so that would be recognized as well. That's after Part 3 has been dedicated as road widening. Part 1 would be rezoned an R1E zone, and the building would be constructed in accordance with those provisions. So again, basically the parcel is to change the property from its current zoning of R1C, and the most northerly part of that lot to be severed would be zoned R1E, the southerly part R2 with special provisions for frontage, setback, and lot area and the parking area. Staff has reviewed this application. The land is designated residential in the official plan. It provides for a wide type of dwelling units to be catering to all residential households. The plan supports the efficient use of underutilized parcels. The property is within the density limits of the official plan, will assist the city in meeting its 40% intensification targets. The requested zoning will provide appropriate zoning for the development and will ensure compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood, and the existing and planned infrastructure can support the proposed development. Therefore, staff is recommending that council approve the zoning bylaw amendment for an R1E zone in part and an R2 zone with special provisions as we've outlined. And those are the highlights.
Thank you very much, Mr. Erlovich. Do we have any questions of council for Mr. Erlovich? Councillor Campbell.
Was it an open house?
Yes, there was, and no one came out.
No,
okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, members of the public are advised that a failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the local planning appeal tribunal dismissing any referrals that it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheet will result in staff rejecting an appeal as per section 3419 of the Planning Act. Council will now hear from anyone other than the applicant. Is there anyone here to speak to this matter other than the applicant? Okay, seeing none, council will now hear from the applicant or his or her representative. You can just step forward and state your name and your address.
Hello, my name is Matthew Tokage, and I'm the owner of the property.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mr. Tokage? Okay, I guess it's all straightforward, thank you.
Thank you.
See, he knows from the last one, right? The least he says, the better. The public meeting with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is now concluded. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Kerrio, that we move the recommendation and approve it. All those in favor? And that's approved unanimously. So thank you very much.
It's funny how the paid guys don't get that.
They get paid by the word. That's why it goes different.
They have to transfer it up.
Okay, we move on to number 8. Framework for Recreation in Canada. Kathy Moldenhauer, our Director of Recreation and Culture, is going to speak to this report.
Thank you. I'm pleased to provide a quick overview. I have no PowerPoint tonight, so I'll try to be quick with the framework of recreation in Canada. This framework has been endorsed by the Government of Canada, provincial and territorial ministers, and provincial governments. Towns and cities across Canada have endorsed this framework, and here in Niagara tonight, I'm hoping that we'll be the first city to endorse the framework. The framework was developed to respond to some of the opportunities and the challenges that the recreation sector is facing right now. The vision is very simple. Is to engage everyone in a meaningful, accessible recreation experience that fosters individual well-being, well-being of the natural and built environments, and community well-being. There are 5 goals and priorities that have been developed. I will speak briefly about the goals and the priorities, and the staff, we plan to use these goals and priorities to guide us in our strategic direction over the next few years. The first one, very simple, Bonnie spoke about this tonight as well, is active living. It's essential to be active throughout your life. Very important too for older adults. Here in Niagara Falls, we added the track to the Gale Center to encourage older adults to be more active, and we've been really pleased with the numbers, though I also spoke about that tonight. We've added pickleball lines. And I think you all now know what pickleball is. It's a very popular activity for older adults. I hope everybody does come out and try it. We also have some wonderful programs that we do offer at Coronation Center and of course at the YMCA. Physical literacy is very important. And the next one is play. I'm sure you've all noticed, and we were talking about it as senior staff, that our streets are a little empty. Children are not getting out and participating in unstructured play. We need to encourage that. What can we do? I think we've done a lot already. We've gone out and we've, of course, installed new playgrounds at our parks. And if you drive by a park that does have a new playground, you actually see children out there. And they're with, their family, and it's great to see them being active. It's also very important that, we encourage our children to connect with nature, to leave the house, to go outside, to explore, to take a risk, and experience that fun that many of us had as children. But it's essential that they do this because we want them to learn that appreciation for nature down the road. The next one is inclusion and access, and we all want to make sure that anyone can participate in our facilities regardless of socioeconomic status, culture, race, Aboriginal status, gender, ability, sexual orientation, and geographic location. We do want to reach all people in our community and try to reduce barriers that may get in the way of them participating. Bonnie spoke about the Alive program tonight that the Recreation Committee is fundraising for. This is just one example of how we're trying to encourage more people to participate. It's also important that we respect the needs and viewpoints of diverse communities and review all of our policies. The third goal is connecting people and nature. People do want to connect with nature. You can see people out there on the weekend. They might be relaxing in our park. They might be hiking. They might be gardening, fishing, and birding. It's important. Comprehensive system of parks. Urban parks are essential to get people out there. Studies have found that a walk in the park can actually help relieve anxiety, stress, and depression. Public awareness and education. Our Park and City Committee throughout the year will work with our schools to plant trees, again to encourage children to understand why we need the trees and how important it is to take care of them. The importance of sustainability. We really do need to actively reduce the use of non-renewable resources to encourage people to recycle and to take care of the environment. The fourth goal is supportive environments. It talks about providing essential places and spaces based on community need and to invest in maintaining all of our facilities. Encourage active transportation. We have wonderful trails here in the city. People do enjoy walking, biking, wheeling. We need to ensure that our trails are connected to make it easier for people to get to school, to get to their churches, to go shopping and participate in activities. Working with community partners. Tonight we had a presentation from the YMCA. It's important too that all of our groups work together, including our schools, churches, Boys and Girls Club, and look at how we can work together to better utilize what resources we do have. This framework of recreation also has an audit tool that can be used and will be used by staff to really look at the services and facilities we have here in Niagara Falls to determine what we need to have in the future to meet the changing needs of our community. It's important too to be aware of different community initiatives. There's age-friendly communities. We have started an older adults committee this year, which is great. Healthy cities, walkable cities. The last goal is recreation capacity. The mayor started tonight talking about lifeguards. Many youth, this is their first employment opportunity to work in recreation. Whether they're guarding, they might be working at a camp, but this is going to build the future leaders. So we're happy to be part of that and to provide those opportunities. Advanced education is important too, so that we do continue to research and learn. Community leadership, that we are providing high quality leadership programs out there. And volunteers and volunteer development. They did a study that there's over 3.3 million people in Canada that do volunteer. So it's so essential that we keep engaging people and provide the training that they need. To conclude, this framework truly is a practical guide for the staff and for the community. We will be conducting some seminars, some learning for our staff and for our committees. And we hope to work together to develop an action plan so that we can start to implement the goals and the priorities that are listed in tonight's framework. Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions of council for Ms. Moldenhauer? No? The other thing I was going to mention too, I neglected to mention, one of the other of our famous former lifeguards, other than Councillor Thompson, was John McBain. John McBain, who the McBain Center, he made the donation in memory of his parents, and he was a lifeguard with the city of Niagara Falls as well. So
he did almost as good as Wayne.
But I don't think he's got a picture like Wayne that we're going to show at the next meeting. You be the judge.
He's not showing up.
There's no way. No way anyone's out doing that picture.
He also gave
we put on the website.
to fax.
Yeah. John McBain, in addition to giving $1 million for the McBain Center, $700,000 for fax, and a number of other things. So, but if we do get a motion of council next time, I will have that picture of Councillor Thompson put on the website if you decide. On the website, I think so, yeah. A lot of excitement anticipating. So if there's no question, oh yes, you have a question. So we're now looking for a motion, is that right, Kathy?
Yes, to endorse the framework.
Okay, so we got a motion by Councillor Strange, second by Councillor Thompson, that the city council endorse the framework for recreation in Canada, and that the framework guide the future strategic direction for the Recreation and Culture Department, City of Niagara Falls. All those in favor? And that's approved unanimously.
Okay,
Thank you very much. All right, so Parks and Rec and Culture, again, civic recognition policy. So we have a report here.
Recommendation.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kerrio, seconded by Councillor Dabrowski, that we approve the civic recognition policy. All those in favor? That's approved. Thank you. 8.3, Affordable Housing Development Partnership. There's two recommendations. First, that staff be authorized to partner with the Regional Municipality of Niagara to solicit competitive bids for non-for-profit partners for the construction of an affordable housing development at 4500 Park Street. And secondly, that staff authorized to complete the record of site condition of the subject property. This is not a public meeting at this point, sir?
Right, I just wanted to let you know that in this matter, you guys didn't give us much notice, so I just gathered in 24 hours as many signatures as I can.
In favor?
I have businesses in favor. No, not in favor, actually. They want to save it We've been trying to get food trucks there for a long time, and the city's given us a hard time putting electricity and running water there so that we can comply with the health standards. And we believe that it is the key to reviving downtown Niagara, which is clearly suffering, and the businesses all agree as well. That's why I gathered one residential. I live on Queen Street myself, but I've been renting off the Richies for a long time now. So like I said, that's why I stood up right now.
Well, we can receive that.
We believe that we weren't given much public notice. We are all kind of upset about that. I ran as much as I could and got as many signatures as I could. And believe it or not, every single business that I ran into and was opened, they want it. So, and they agree. And if you'd like, I say below are a list of signatures of the local businesses whom demand the prime real estate Park Street Pavilion public property is not sold or given away to developers to develop more real estate, and rather is used to serve the community via fresh food and vendors. One thing that the downtown lacks is food. You want to put another 300 people there, but where are they going to park? You want to put another 300 people here, but we already have students and seniors and family who have a hard time getting groceries. So I believe that we're doing backwards development, sir. So with all due respect, if you would give us more time to gather some more input from the community.
We're gonna more than likely, I'm hoping, make a decision here tonight, but we'd be happy to take those. If you'd like to pass them to Councillor Campbell.
Yes, I just got to make sure I got my photocopies.
Okay, and also I'd ask our CAO if he would comment, and I've got you on the list here, Councillor, if our CAO would comment on the public notification portion of this, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the first part of the process is tonight where we're presenting the report to get council endorsement to proceed with the initiative. If council is agreeable to that, we'll be going through a several month-long process of putting an RFP out and seeing if there's any interest at all from the not-for-profit sector, partnering with private sector and the municipality to undertake a project of this magnitude. If we're successful in attracting individuals that are wanting to develop this site, we'll be back to council with another report. Ultimately, there will be a public process, a planning process that just similar to what we undertook, because even though the property right now is currently designated in our official plan to accommodate up to a 10-story apartment building, the zoning would need to be amended, and there'd be a public process along with whatever the final design or elements. So there'll be a couple of other opportunities for the public to participate in providing input on this. Tonight was really to see if council was interested in moving forward, and if they're interested in moving forward, we'll start to implement that process as we move forward.
What I wanted to mention is we are all for affordable housing. However, we have eyesores and empty lots that could facilitate his proposal.
Okay, I appreciate that. At the public meeting, you'll have more of an opportunity to express your feelings. Councillor Lococo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would definitely be in support of this project. I know there's a lot of concerns from some of the residents, so I'm just going to read a few of them, and if we can keep them in mind when we are doing the research. Is it going to be transitional housing? Will it just be affordable housing? Will it be mixed use housing? There's some studies out there that mixed use might be better than just affordable housing or geared to income.
It would be, I believe, too. I think that was a proposal, right? It'd be mixed. It can be.
It could be.
Right.
That's why I'm bringing these things up. Some people are concerned about, will it be a private sector, about the grocery stores and the food. Are there other areas in the city that we could look at instead of that one? Some of the businesses on Queen Street are a little bit concerned about the parking, especially since we put the 90-minute paid parking back. Where will their customers park? Will there be a park as part of this development? And I think we've covered, and there is a spiritual garden right there now, and if we do this project, to consider about what we do with that before it's demolished or moved somewhere.
Okay, that's good. Good comments.
And I would like to move it.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Okay, Councillor Campbell. Did you want to comment on this?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I thank you, Councillor. Those I can answer some of those questions now, but a lot of them we can answer as the process goes forward. But we have had a lot of dialogue with the Niagara region and the community services director there. We've also engaged Niagara Region Housing. They've indicated at this point that through their board, they have got an approval for an allocation of assisted units on the site. In other words, it's the top-up component. The vision here was that these would be market rent. Those would be in an affordable range, and the reason why the incentives from the municipality are to keep that project in an affordable range. But some of the units, and I think probably up to an allocation of 50 of say 200 units, would have an affordable top-up, where there would be a bridge between what that person could afford and what that market rent might be. This site, you know, I know there are some shortcomings, but we wanted to make sure before we brought this forward to council that we had a dialogue with the groups that really know housing, Niagara Regional Housing. We've had several meetings with groups like Bethlehem to talk about their various projects across the region. One of the things that's important here, yes, it may be lacking a grocery store. There are other amenities that make this site very attractive. In either direction, it's a block from two main bus routes, the 104 and the 102. There are other parking spots within the near vicinity that are owned by the city, albeit they may be a couple-minute walk from this site. There's probably 200 parking stalls owned by the city within about a 3-minute walk of this site. The Community Health Center, which just reopened in the old former Canadian Tire building at the Victoria in Valleyway, provides a huge resource for individuals that may be living in this site, providing them medical assistance. There's banks on Queen Street. There's other amenities on Queen Street. So there, yes, is it a perfect site? No, but it meets a lot of the check boxes that both Niagara Region Housing and the Niagara Region Housing and the Niagara Region are looking for in terms of what this site brings. So that's why we selected this site. We've carried out a phase 1 and a phase 2 environmental on the site already, albeit there are some minor things we need to clean up in the site record of site condition. For those of you who don't know, this site used to be a City of Niagara Falls water and water department. So you know, it was utilized for that purpose for many years before it became the market that's there today. There's mention of other sites in the area, such as the old transit facility. Unfortunately, the transit facility is going to be a major component of our GO project and GO infrastructure, and you know, that's why we didn't consider that site. That site is not right now appropriate for residential development. It is available for other types of uses such as parking, but this site again meets most of the check boxes that individuals that are looking and carrying out this kind of project need.
Thank you for that. Councillor Kerrio, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Worship. Looking at the report, I'm looking at the city's contributions that they total, I don't know, maybe $700,000. Could you tell, what's the region's contribution to this project? Is there a component? I couldn't find it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The region's component, it's a step process because the region is actually dealing with this project once, if council approves it tonight, they're dealing with it on their agenda in June. Their component will be a subsidized rent portion that will be ongoing at that building for many years. And I'm not sure what that quantifies to, but as I indicated, it looks like there's an approval right now for up to 50 units out of a 200-unit building that would be provided rent subsidization through Niagara Region Housing.
But I think we all understand that this really falls under the region's responsibility. I don't like partnerships where I have to put up almost 100% of the money. They have to do that anyways, what we're suggesting about. They have to do that no matter where it is. But here's a case where we're putting up 100%. I just don't want to call them partners, really. I mean, they're really not partners. You know, and the same thing with a bunch of other things that, you know, they're trying to download to the city. It just goes to show, well, if that's the case, we should keep the third of the money we give to them in taxes and just look after things ourselves.
Yep. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, and the other component of it, I didn't mention, but is in the report. Under the affordable part. So the part that we bring to the table, the region is matching, for example, waiving of development charges. So there's waiving of fees parts that the region is also participating in.
I didn't even include that in
Yeah,
what I was
so
calculating.
those are things they're involved with. We're coming together in the partnership with the group to provide the land, to waive certain of our fees, because in order to get this project up and running and be in that affordable range, those incentives, in our opinion, have to be there now to get this up and running.
I'm not being critical, I'm in favor of the project. I'm being critical of the fact that we're calling someone a partner who doesn't bring much to the table. No one in business that I know wants partners like that. So if we're gonna do it, I want the city and the residents of Niagara Falls to get the credit for it, not, waiving of fees.
Thank you for that. I've got Councillor Campbell and then Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Todd and I had this conversation, I think, 3 years ago, if you remember, after the dedication of the Housing for Habitat on Pierce Street, and I'm really glad to see this move forward. I support it 100%, and I look forward to the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Well, thank you, and we keep talking about housing and trying to provide something for the people in this community. And each time we get together here, we hear the same story. Congratulations on coming forward. But I agree with Councillor Kerrio. What's the region doing other than development charges? And are we having dialogue with the provincial and federal people? We should all be working together on it. That's their problem also. Is there any dialogue there?
CAO?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So back to the region. So as I've indicated, they're having an allocation of up to 50 units out of 200, 25%, that would be eligible for rent subsidy. So the region, on a month-by-month basis, would provide that rent differential per unit for as long as that building's there. So I don't know what that adds up to. I would probably argue over the length of that building, it's going to end up probably more than our contribution in the long term. But I can't quantify that for you right now because I don't know what those market rents are set at. Also, again, there's the waiving of fees and the municipal capital facility arrangement on tax subsidization and waiving the fees. We've had dialogue at the table. At one of our recent meetings, we brought in Canadian Mortgage and Housing. They are a player that can provide to whoever the proponent is, perhaps either loans or low interest mortgages for these kind of projects. So they're a participant at the table as well.
Any other questions of council? The other thing I was going to mention was there used to be a grocery store downtown, if you remember. Dominion used to be on the corner. And Niagara Farms it was after. And there's a grocery store and there's enough people. It's the chicken and the egg thing. So when there's more people living downtown, there will be another grocery store, right?
Well, Lococo's is downtown.
And Lococo's isn't too far, you're exactly right. And they've gone beyond what they used to. Yeah, it's a great place and affordable as well. So there'll be more opportunities. As the people come, there'll be more, and the other thing, recall, we're working with, we've got the GO train, which, by the way, our ridership's been increasing. It's been fantastic.
Is there a specific number you
There's
could
not.
provide?
This is not a public meeting.
Right.
I'm sorry, you'll have to wait for the public meeting. This is council discussion. So with the GO train coming into town, we're having great numbers, and as well as, we're very hopeful that there's going to be announcements soon with Ryerson, bring more critical mass to the downtown, more people, there'll be more need for a grocery store and more other amenities as well. So we've got the motion, moved by Councillor Lococo, seconded by Councillor Campbell. We're going to call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thank you very much. And you'll be involved and be able to participate in all the public aspects, just not at this one.
Right, but I find a theme here. If you guys give us very little notice and you guys sell public property and then
no, that's not what's going on.
The
theme here tonight is we made a decision that we're going to look into it. The no decisions have been finalized. So now you have your chance at the future public meetings to give your opinion. And then we're going to make our final decision. So
All
we're
right,
just
and I
moving
just
forward.
wanted, I just want to get, because you mentioned that, oh, when we get more people downtown, then we'll put a grocery store. Well, just how many people? Because
This isn't the time for that. That's a good discussion. It's a great discussion.
Because you mentioned it, so
Yes, I
brought
know,
it
and I
up.
appreciate, maybe I jumped the gun. Yeah, but we'll be dealing with that at the future public meetings. And come back and we want to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, thanks very much. All right. Moving on to 8.4, commercial lot, conditional approval protocol. So now, I think you declared a conflict on this one, Councillor Kerrio. So we've got 3 recommendations here regarding commercial parking lot for conditional approval protocols. Councillor Pietrangelo.
Yeah, Your Worship, I'm happy to move the motion. I just would change the word activity in recommendation number 1 to actively. But aside from that, Your Worship, I did have a couple questions. I thought that there was...
Yeah, actively, thank you for that.
Yeah. I thought that there was 3 things that we were trying to achieve this year. One was paving, the other one was an upgrading of the booths, and the other one was enforcement of, I guess, parking attendants being on the street.
Yeah.
So I saw paving in the report, obviously. I didn't see anything about the booths, and I didn't see anything about on-street attendance.
And signage too.
And signage, yeah. And I thought that those were the big ones for this year. So maybe I can ask staff where we are with those ones, and then I got some other questions as well.
Okay. CAO?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Those are generally the main areas we're looking at. We're looking at, what I say, more in dialogue with the BIAs, more of the aesthetic issues, and those would certainly fall within that. The dilemma we're having is that if we really look at dividing the parking lots into 2 categories, we have a bunch of parking lots that already met a lot of the criteria. Did they meet our bylaw to a T? No, but they were pretty good. They were already paved, they had lighting, they had pretty good. Did they meet it 100%? No. Those are the ones we're sort of setting aside and saying, look, if there's minor things that need to be dealt with in the future, whether that be stall widths and things like that, we can deal with that. Our main concern was looking at those lots that were not paved at all and trying to get them in and get them to be compliant. But what comes along with the paving is the drainage and the lighting and things that should be going along with that. So our staff has been out trying to say, look, there are some lots that are trying to come in right away and just throw some paving down and think they're going to comply to the bylaw. Well, they're not. And we're trying to say, we're going to be back to you saying, there's drainage that you've got to have and there's lighting that you have to have. So if you're starting from scratch, do all those amenity items the right way. So that's the dilemma, and that's why this report in part is here, to be able to give staff a little bit of leeway. But the main issue that we were looking at, I think the tone of it would be looking at the aesthetics, making sure that the gravel lots are paved, that there's not these old shacks out there, that attendants aren't coming out onto the street and soliciting parking. And our bylaw people have been out quite actively. Alex may want to add to that, but I know they've been out actively trying to enforce the wishes of council and the wishes of the BIA on this.
Thank you. Yeah, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And I guess through you to Mr. Todd, I understand that those are the factors. I didn't see the booths or enforcement of on-street attendance in the report.
Okay.
So I'm wondering how staff are going to address it. I mean, if we ever wanted to tie the continuation of parking permit to non-violations of on-street attendance, I'm sure that would garner 100% compliance. Because, I mean, if they were ever then caught violating that and going on the street to try to pull people in, they know that their license is at stake.
Right.
But I don't see anything about on-street attendance or signage or the booths in the report.
And we can add that in if you like. I can tell you, I know that we have already charged a few individuals on solicitation on the street. So I know we're actively out doing it. but it just may not be highlighted in the report. Perhaps the clerk would like to.
Mr. Clerk?
Well, some of those things you mentioned, Councillor, they already exist in the current bylaw. So staff can go out there and enforce those, and I think we can get relatively immediate compliance on a derelict building or signage or solicitation. We just wanted to provide a little bit of flexibility here with being able to provide these conditional licenses. And of course, paving a lot is one of the things that we wouldn't get compliance on within 24 hours notice. Paving a lot obviously requires a lot more notice than just trying to make compliance with signage or something like that. So we're just looking to try and work with these parking lot owners towards compliance and looking for a little bit of leeway.
And I understand that, Your Worship, and I understand that aesthetics are a big part of it. There were some other things that were mentioned, such as drainage. Is buffers in the report, is that referring to landscaping and lighting, as well as lines? And then after the table, it said that prior to the issuance of permits next year, staff are going to review the bylaw and make recommendations to match council's intentions. Do we know already what council's intentions are? Or, like, I didn't understand that, because, I mean, if council just simply wants to see paved parking lots, then we're gonna leave it at that. If council wants you to enforce more, that's gonna be very difficult, because, I mean, then you're gonna have to go back in and start making people dig up their parking lots and put in drainage and put in lighting, put in landscaping, put in all the other things that are actually in the bylaw. So I'm wondering right now, before I approve this, what are our intentions?
Good. Yeah, Mr. Seo.
Well, I think what the report's indicating is that if we give conditional permits this year, there may be things there that in the current bylaw may just not be an issue for us. We may find that narrower stall widths work. Perhaps, we have 1 meter buffer. Perhaps we're going to look and say, do we even need a meter buffer? Those are things those types of things we would come back to you and say, look, we've kind of reviewed some of these conditional permits. Let's make some suggestions on amending the bylaw to make it easier for compliance. So drainage. Our feeling right now is that drainage is an important issue, but if there are lots out there that are currently paved that don't have drainage, we may be back and say it doesn't appear to be a problem, and maybe drainage becomes another issue that we can give some flexibility on depending on where it is. So that's kind of the review that we're going to take over the next year and come back to you and make some suggestions on what those bylaw amendments potentially could be.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess thanks for that. I just think it's going to be hard to pick and choose. It's going to be hard to say in one situation, you absolutely have to put drainage in, and then if there's a parking lot 3 doors down, say, well, you know what, you don't have any problems with drainage right now. I'm not going to enforce that you put it in. I think that's going to be a difficult road if we go to cross that, because then we're going to be picking and choosing at that point.
A good comment. Councillor Thompson?
Well, if you look at the bylaw is very comprehensive and covers all the things that Councillor Peter Angelo is talking about. The thing is, it hasn't been enforced. And I sat on the BIA there for, I don't know, the last 10 years, and they are just furious. And you could tell with their presentation that they made at the last council meeting, they wanted no people off the hook with respect to complying with the bylaw. Enforce the bylaw, because every year it's been the same situation. Well, we'll make sure for next year. Was there dialogue with the BIA with respect to this report and what's happening?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, we've had dialogue with the BIA, Serge Felicetti and his group. So far, they're pleased with the progress. They've seen us with Gerald Spencer and his guys out there, especially with a lot of the sidewalk signage and things like that. And he's been actively out with his team of enforcement people on the actual parking lots as well. So our conversation with them is every lot going to be perfect this year? No, but we want to ensure that we're going to get as much compliance as we can. And if there are, again, those little, what this report's saying, if there's some lots that don't absolutely meet all of the requirements of the bylaw, but they're a good way there, that we could, for lack of better words, cut them a little slack and give them a conditional permit, hoping that those things are addressed in the subsequent year.
Well, this was my feelings with respect to the whole matter, to have a little bit of flexibility. But I tell you, the BIA people were, this is it. We want compliance. If they don't comply, we're cutting them off. So I hope you've had dialogue with them since the meeting that they were here regarding these.
Our staff has. Serge Felicetti and his group, and I believe I think Gerald Spencer has had that dialogue as well.
Have you been at any of the meetings?
No.
No?
Well, I don't think we met since. We haven't.
Anyway, I don't think what you're doing is wrong. I think having some flexibility is only fair, but the problem with the BIA, you've had flexibility for the last 10 years and people still are not complying. So maybe this will help.
So if I could, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make it, so when we're talking about being flexible, I think there's things that we're not flexible on for this year. And one of the key ones is paving. So we're not flexible on that. We're not flexible on having attendants come out into the road and solicit. We're not wanting to have the old shacks there. We want to deal with the aesthetic items and get these lots cleaned up as much as we can and get as much compliance as we can. But as I said, there's some really well-established lots out there that I can tell you have been operating for a number of years that all of you would think that's a nice lot. It probably doesn't meet 100% of the requirements of the bylaw. And we're saying, look, why are we going to go after that's, doing a really good job and looks really good and it's not an issue to anybody? Well, let's go after these ones that are really the eyesores and get them cleaned up. But again, there's some deal breakers, and the main one is on our list is the paving, and I think it's the number one on the list of the BIA as well.
Okay, well, if there's no further comment at this point, this is not a public meeting. Did you have a comment in regard to the parking lots?
Yes.
Are you parking lot owner?
Yeah.
Well, what's the will of council? It's if council's call. If you want to make a motion, okay. Well, if you want to make the motion, Councillor. Okay, moved by Councillor Coco, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo, that we allow our guests to address council. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. So if you want to step up and give us a brief.
Actually, I have a lot on a Bender Street and Falls Avenue.
Okay, on Bender?
Bender Street.
Yes.
This is I have submitted the design and architecture design and civil design, but they didn't approve yet. But it is under construction. They made some comment.
Okay.
So now I have to go back to the architecture to correction this. But at the moment, City Hall, they're accepting a paving done, but I cannot get it done until approve is done. And retaining wall, I have to build it right there. So
Okay.
I need a little more times to get it done.
Okay.
So if City Hall tell me do tomorrow is a paving, it is difficult for us.
So you're saying you've got your paperwork, you've submitted it to the city?
City
and
has
you're waiting
submitted, they
for
made some
approval.
comment.
Right.
They submitted, so I have to gone back to the architecture and civil. So they need more time to get a job done.
Okay.
Then I can done the retaining wall and drainage and paving done.
Okay. So
But
you're trying to comply with their bylaw?
Yeah,
I
bylaw.
see.
But
I
I
see.
need time for that. I cannot do tomorrow paving unless I retaining wall done and fill it up land. And it is a big slope, so you know, so I need a little more times. The overnight I cannot do the paving.
Okay, well I'm going to ask our CEO if he could address your specific issue.
Well, these are the kind of issues we're trying to work with. I mean, if we've got a lot owner that's under contract and is moving towards that, and it's going to take him some time. At the end of that process, it's going to mean that that lot's paved, drained, and that's exactly what we're looking for. If that's going to take a little bit more time, we're willing to work with the individual, but we're not going to get caught in the game where this is going to extend on all summer and this is going to be operating as usual. So our staff is going to be out there making sure that this kind of compliance is being achieved.
So if you said you've submitted your paperwork?
I have submitted the City Hall, they made the comments, so I have to go back to the architecture and NG Civil to get the correction done, and then I have to submit again.
Okay, and are you dealing with a specific person at City Hall right now?
Pardon me?
A specific staff member of City Hall?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So I would follow up with them tomorrow.
Okay.
And as long as you have everything in place and you get it and it's in the process and nothing's being delayed, you're going to be fine.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we've got the 3 recommendations of the report. Was that moved already or no?
No.
Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Strange. We've got one Councillor Kerrio declared a conflict. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you very much. And to staff, good job. We know it's not easy. You know, people are not sitting there with open arms when you arrive, but it's going to make the city look a lot nicer with paved parking lots, get rid of some of these old booths, and get some standardization going on within the city. Okay, moving on to item 8.5. This is the 5G network health concern report. I know Councillor Lococo, you're the one that asked about this. Did you want to address council?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the report. It was very informative. I did have 2 concerns, and a lot of residents did as well. Some of the information is very outdated. It's back to 2015. That was the one concern. And the other one was that it was not specific to small cell technology. So I did talk to Mr. Norris, our staff, and he referred me to Sean Oatley, who apparently is here. Sean, are you here?
Okay.
He said he would come and explain the concerns that I had. I thought it was better for him to explain it than me.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Mr. Oatley, would you like to come up to the hot seat? I mean the microphone. Welcome.
Thank you.
So for those of you watching, Sean works for the city and you're in our IT department or IS department?
That's right. And so I did do the research for this report and put together some of the concerns and did what I could get what I found what I could. And I spoke with the Innovation, Science and Economic Development Agency, which is the governing agency that handles all the spectrum. So spectrum being the frequencies that we're dealing with. They have indicated that the 4G technology, which is what we're all using right now, is the 5G is just an enhancement upon that. So it's just new frequencies that they've added. They don't see that 5G is an entirely different technology. So to them, it's just a matter of turning on additional frequencies. They go back to the Health Canada guidelines, which is called Safety Code 6. And there's some attachments in your documents that speak to Safety Code 6, but essentially it sets the limits of how much radio frequency, radiation that we can have. So anything that Industry Canada allows for, the Safety Code 6 makes sure that there's about a 50-fold difference between what could cause harm and what we're allowing. So because of this, it's not entirely new technology, and they feel that the Safety Code 6 will still protect everybody from a health concern standpoint. Some of the frequencies that are offered for this new 5G technology are already in use. So if you think of your home Wi-Fi, some of the frequencies are already actually within that range. So if it was a concern, it would already be taking effect. And some of the higher end frequencies, which a lot of people are concerned about also, are actually already in use in automotive systems. So if anybody has a car that has some of the lane change warning systems, braking systems and things like that, it uses actually the same frequencies that are already out there. So it's actually existing technology that we are using for the most part.
Well, that's great. Councillor Lococo, did you want to, any questions you wanted to ask or any further?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I thank you. Appreciate you bringing that forward, and Sean, we appreciate you doing the research and making us, I think, feel a little better. So there's a motion or a recommendation that we receive the information. Moved by Councillor Kerrio, second by Councillor Lococo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Okay, on to the consent agenda. What's the will of council?
Move the consent agenda.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kerrio, second by, oh, no, wait, we've got Councillor Lococo's got something she wants to lift.
Could we pull PBD 2019-30, the Gateway CIP, please?
Okay, PBD, I'm sorry. Which one?
2019-30, Gateway Community Improvement Plan.
Okay. Alrighty, got it, I see, okay. So first we got a motion by Councillor Kerrio, second by Councillor Dabrowski that we move the consent agenda with the exception of this report. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved, thank you. So now we will move to the specific report on the Gateway, there we are. PBD 2019-30 Gateway CIP and Municipal Employee Incentive Program application. Did you have a specific question, Councillor?
No question, just a comment. I think we should be celebrating this type of thing. I don't want it to go on the consent agenda and we don't know about it. It's a great program. We're bringing in jobs, we're bringing in more industry. It's really making a difference, so I just wanted to celebrate it and bring it to our attention.
Well, that's great, appreciate that. Do we have any other questions or comments of council for this report? Okay, then we'll look to receive the report and endorse the memorandum of understanding authorizing the CAO to sign on behalf of the City of Niagara Falls and between the region. So moved by Councillor Lococo, second by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you. Resolutions. So we've got two, Mr. Clerk. Is that right?
No, just the one.
Okay, well, the first one, the PBD 2019-33, exemption request to the 2-year waiting period for minor variance. Okay, so that moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor? That's approved, okay. And then the resolution, council consent to the exemption to waiting period for minor variances, thereby allowing Silvergate Homes Limited to file an application to the city's Committee of Adjustment for the development of Legends Phase 1 and 2. Looking for a motion, moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Dabrowski, that we accept and receive the resolution. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. We move on to communications and comments of the city clerk. So first item 11.1, there's a recommendation that there's a matter, a correspondence from a resident about the littering around his neighborhood as a result of a weekly newspaper being delivered. The recommendation is that the matter be referred to staff for a report back. Yeah, Councillor Thompson? Yeah. You're good with that? We'll get it, come back to us?
Yes, I was dealing with the individual directly and very upset. He had pictures of all the, you got the same thing. And I think that, you know, how do you cut off the delivery of papers? Let's see what other municipalities are doing. Apparently there's some that have put on controls, so let's see what happened, refer it to staff.
Part of the problem that we have now, the old neighborhoods, everybody had a mailbox. And the new houses have a super mailbox, a lot don't have, so what do? They just throw it on the porch. And with a little bit of wind, it blows all over the place. I know, actually, Councillor Thompson, weren't you a paper boy at one time?
Yes.
I heard to save time, and he was on his way to be a lifeguard, he would be wearing his Speedo on his way to deliver the paper, so no one ever complained about his delivery.
Everybody makes mistakes, and I had the largest review route, 154 papers I delivered every day.
They had paper back then?
Huh?
Was it stone?
154.
154 papers, that's amazing. Geez, I got lost in all this discussion of delivering papers in your Speedo. But, so we'll refer this to staff. Moved by, oh, did you want to comment? Yes, Councillor Lococo.
Just a quick comment, Mr. Mayor. I was through the recycling on a tour on Friday, and it was amazing to see what goes in the garbage, what gets recycled, and one of the things that they really don't like is those single newspapers with the wrap around them. If you get it and you take the wrap off and you read it, that's okay, because then you break them up, but all of those garbage, they're going to the recycling and then they're having problems recycling them. So it's an issue once it gets there as well.
You know, and it's an interest too. I sit on the waste removal subcommittee at the region. I did not know this, that plastic, if it doesn't stretch, it doesn't recycle. So when you get those chip bags and whatnot, they don't go in recycle, they go in garbage. So they have to sift through them when you do that. So the rule of thumb is if it doesn't stretch, it doesn't recycle. So it's good to know. I just learned that last week. Yeah, did not. I know, it's what I said. I didn't know it either. So it's really good to know, right? Yeah. So where are we now? Okay. Refer to staff. Did I get a move in a second already?
Yeah. Arguing between Wayne and Victor.
Okay, so Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Thank you for that. It's approved unanimously. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they're asking. Okay, moved by Councillor Kerrio, second by Councillor Pietrangelo, that we refer to staff for the next meeting the possible erection of signs at specific intersections for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you. 11.3, flag raising. Pride Niagara is requesting a flag raising ceremony Monday, June 3rd. Moved by Councillor Dabrowski, seconded by Councillor Lococo. All those in favor? That's approved. Thank you. Item 11.4, proclamation request, Apraxia Awareness Day. Proclamation request is to recognize May 14th as Apraxia Awareness Day to support childhood apraxia speech. Could you have written apraxia more times in this report? Which is a challenging speech disorder. And that was moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you. Item 11.5, proclamation request, National Public Works Week. Staff are recommending May the 19th through 25th be National Public Works. Moved by Councillor Kerrio, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? That's approved. Thank you. New item on your agenda, 11.6. Proclamation request that the BoxRun Charitable Foundation be declared Childhood Cancer Awareness Month for the month of September. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. Councillor Strange's running mate. And also I'd like to mention that the Niagara Illumination Board has approved the request that the falls will be illuminated in gold on September the 1st at 10 p.m. in recognition of the BoxRun Charitable Foundation, all the good things that you're doing right now with childhood cancer. We'll call that vote. All those in favor? And that's approved unanimously. Thank you. 11.7, Niagara Region, Niagara Housing Statement, Affordable Housing Data. There's a recommendation that Council receive the report for information. Moved by Councillor Kerrio, second by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? That's approved. 11.8, there's various correspondence from the region. It seems these days they send us a lot of correspondence for your reading. Moved by Councillor Kerrio, seconded by Councillor Campbell, that we receive and file. All those in favor? That's approved. Thank you. 11.9, Falls UBIA requesting approval of their 2018 budget. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Strange. All those in favor? That's approved. Ratification of in-camera. Mr. Clerk, do we have any items?
No, no items to ratify this evening.
The bylaws.
Motion to introduce the bylaws, give them a first, second, and third reading, Your Worship.
Motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange, that the bylaws be giving a first, second, and third reading. All those in favor? And that's approved. Thank you for that. New business. Do we have any new business? Councillor Campbell.
Yes, Your Worship. I'd like to ask that we give direction to the clerk, not the clerk, the treasurer, to provide some form of feedback with respect to all the cuts that are happening at the provincial level and the effects that are taking place in our community as a result of those cuts, and what implications are there with respect to the fact we passed a 0% budget increase. I'd like to see what's going on. I'm sure everybody else does.
Okay. Motion by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Lococo, that we ask our Director of Finance to come up with a report giving us an outline on the effects of the cuts by the province to municipality. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Any other new business? Councillor Pietrangelo and then Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I only have the one item tonight. I know I've talked about waste collection before.
Just one?
Yeah, just one, Your Worship, yeah. I'm still waiting for spring to come.
Getting one long one, I'm sure, though.
No, not really. I know I've talked about waste collection before, and every time I've brought it up, I've talked about, you know, actually breaking free from the regional contract with Mterra. And I think every time I've mentioned it, certain people around the table have looked at me like I have two heads. But if anyone actually read the newspaper this week, you would have read that there's already been 2 municipalities in the region that have broken free from the Mterra contract, and they now have Waste Management doing their garbage collection. So I guess it wasn't really that far-fetched of an idea to begin with, Your Worship. So I'm just wondering, how do we go about doing that? Is it a possibility for us? I mean, I know we still have a couple years left with Mterra, but I mean, we even have a waste collection company in our own city that we can go and get a quote from that we used to have actually do it for us. Yeah, exactly. You know, I would love to go get quotes for ourselves, Your Worship, and then look after our own people. Because right now I just find as though, you know, we're paying for a service that we're really not getting. That's the way I look at it.
So I can give you a little bit of an update. And you're right, there's a number of municipalities in West Niagara who are no longer being collected by Mterra.
Lincoln, West Lincoln.
What's that?
Lincoln, West
Lincoln and West Lincoln, and there's been other requests to get on that list.
Requests,
yeah.
yes.
And the problem is obviously Mterra, who picks up our garbage and our recycle and our yard waste, has not done a great job. They have not upheld their end of the contract, and they've admitted it. They've got a lot of problems. They've got, number one, their trucks are old now and breaking down, the ones that they bought at the beginning of the contract. Second problem, minimum wage went up, so a lot of people now figured, I'll go work at a less physically intensive job for similar money, because those people on the back of those trucks, they work hard, and it's hot or it's cold. It's not an easy job. I don't envy the hard work that they do. And so they have willingly, they being Mterra, willingly given up some of the business. And we're having, I can't go into full details, but I can tell you that we're having very strong, we're having strong discussions around changing things and around preparing an early request for proposal to do something other than the current arrangement. And then the last piece, of course, depending on what happens with amalgamation, depending what the Premier decides for all of Niagara, there could be another scenario. So there could be 4 different garbage recycling contracts. Who knows? We don't know yet, but that's a great point, and everyone's well aware. And the other frustrating part of this, you need 80 trucks, and these trucks take at least a year to get, like buses and fire trucks. So they couldn't even get them tomorrow, and the other companies don't have those trucks on standby, not in this quantity. So it's a complicated dilemma, and staff are really disappointed with what's going on. And I'll tell you, and I was one of the guys, I went to the region, lobbied against that contract 10 years ago because it was significantly less than everybody else. And I said, it didn't make sense. You're grabbing the short-term gain. It's going to be long-term pain. And sure enough, it took a number of years, and it's fallen apart now. And it's unfortunate. It's too good to be true. Well, sometimes when it is seem too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So we are on it, and yes, you're right. And they're looking at all options are on the table right now. Without discussing an in-camera matter, I can tell you that much. So, okay, Councillor Campbell?
Your Worship, I understand too that...
I'm sorry, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Thompson was next, I forgot.
Oh, he spoke to me. I didn't know he was recognizing.
That was my fault, I apologize.
I'm sorry, I apologize too.
Wrong way. I got all confused.
If you'd like, go ahead.
Thank you.
Well, it's good
to
have
the paper boy.
It's good to have a long memory. I remember that same situation with Mterra.
Yeah.
The guy from the region was standing there, and $5 million less from the previous guy. And I said, $5 million, are you going to be able to do this properly? Obviously, they couldn't.
No.
Yeah, anyway. We have our planning situations going on with Bill 108. There used to be the OMB, then now the plat?
Land Planning Tribunal.
Yeah. Huh? LPAT, yeah. And now Ford has said he's gonna bring in 108, which is going back to the OMB or a mixture. We don't know anything about that. I wonder if we could have a report at the next council meeting from Mr. Hurlovich with respect to what's going on and how does this affect municipalities.
Yeah, he'd love to do that.
Pardon me?
He'd love to do that.
Yeah, I would make
He's
a
smiling
motion,
just now. Yeah.
A motion.
He could probably tell you right now.
Pardon me?
He could probably tell you right now.
I doubt it. Do you have any comment on it?
Okay, he's going to do a report. Okay.
Okay, but we should know.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'd make it a motion.
Motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Dabrowski, that we have our planning staff come back with a report on the changes from the LPAT to the OMB and whatever iteration they're coming up with. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous.
Yep. I made a motion quite a few months ago about this little document here. I tell you, we get so many phone calls on the weekend, complaints, and people expect to get an answer very quickly, to get back to them. And the answering machine, the answering people, it just doesn't work. This was 2011 to 14, had everybody's name, phone number, a great document, and certainly helped not only on the weekend, but it has all the information here. I wonder if, well, I already made the motion and it was passed. If I could give that to the clerk and see if we could get something, so
updated
when
numbers.
we get this on the weekend, all these calls, or any time, that we can get the right person. I think that's a great little document.
Okay, we'll get that done. Thank you for that. Any other new business? Yep, Councillor Strange.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to just talk about, there's a fundraiser this Sunday at Jack's Cantina for a little girl, and council might remember a couple years ago, there was a little girl, Hayden Davis, and she was one of our Heaters Heroes. She was battling cancer, and she was in remission. And you actually went up to the illumination and you put the necklace on her and your chain, sorry, and she was married for about 5 minutes. But she came out and we brought her to Applebee's and had ice cream sundaes there and dinner, and we brought her around on the attractions and stuff like that. She was doing so great, and then just in the last year, they just got some bad news that her cancer has come back. So they're having a fundraiser for this Sunday. It's just $5 a tickets at Jack's Cantina. It's 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So if anyone would like to come down and show their support for young Hayden, she's a little fighter, and we hope that she's going to beat this again a second time. So, and our prayers go up to her family. So I'll be there on Sunday, and hopefully everyone around this horseshoe can show up as well. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. I can lend you my necklace again too, maybe.
There you go.
Yeah. It's a chain of office, just so you know, folks. We don't like to call it a necklace. And one other thing, I'd like to welcome Ray Spiteri back, our reporter, our crack reporter. He's been off. First of all, he was off for a while, taking some paternal leave. He had a son, and I want to congratulate him. And that was during the time I was off too. And he's back in his seat. And I know John Law is relieved to have you back. So thanks, Ray. Welcome back, buddy. One more new business. Councillor Campbell.
Yes, Your Worship. I was going to make comments on the Intera, but Councillor Thompson but it didn't change the conversation, so it's not worthwhile at this point. I would move adjournment.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Dabrowski. All those in favor? All right, we're adjourned. 7:52. Thanks, folks.
I thought it was